Next, we're going to talk through how to build the right team for your project. So if you remember a few lessons back, we talked about the different roles and responsibilities of different people on the project. So we just want to quickly recap what we mean by each of these positions. First, we have project manager. So you can either choose to manage the project yourself if you want to, save some money on the project, or you can hire a project manager who will report to you, whether it's a daily or weekly basis, what the status of the project is. It's important to know that if you have a big team size like 10 developers or 15 developers, it's going to be a job in and of itself to manage the team. So, once you start getting over a few different team members, you may want to just hire the project manager. But if it's a smaller team, one developer, two developers, you may want to choose to self-manage and save some of that budget as well. In terms of actual, team members on the project building and delivering work, there's that full stack developer. Essentially, this is the jack of all trades. A lot of people go this route when they're going to build software on a budget where, maybe you don't have someone that's very specialized in each of the different products that you need to work with, but just getting somebody who has that general knowledge will allow you to just pay one person or a couple of people instead of a whole team of people. So, sometimes you may want to go this route and get that full stack developer. We'll talk through some reasons when it may make sense to do this versus not as we go through the different lessons that we have here. But, essentially, if you're building, a small proof of concept type application, you may want to just get somebody that's a full stack developer to do it, depending on, the size of the project. But if you're looking to build out a full team and you want everything to be, perfect, then I would recommend going and hiring individual people that are specialized in their area. So your main bullets kind of talk through that. So there are UI designers. These are the people who are tasked with making your application look and feel, visually perfect or as visually perfect as possible. Then there's the UI developer who will take those renderings and mock-ups and wireframes and turn that into actual application logic that will make it look exactly how it was designed. Then you have application developers, and sometimes these are split out between people who code the application logic. You may have a separate database developer that develops the backend database that's housing all of your data. You may have additional developers depending on if you're integrating with specific products or are bringing on other technologies that may be outside of the scope of your initial developer. And then there are application testers who can do testing on the application, and there are test developers who will build automated tests for your application. So highly recommend that you invest money into having automated tests built for your software. This is just going to help you as you come up with each individual release that you have. You can have somebody go into your application and run through a series of tests and make sure everything passes. But then once you release any new enhancements later on, and you expand the code to have more features, for example, really you're supposed to go and back and test all the initial tests that you did, plus all of the new ones to make sure that nothing broke as a result of your latest updates. So you just want to make sure that if there are automated tests that are built, a lot of that can be scripted for you. So that way you don't have to keep going back and manually retesting everything that's already been tested. You can just, build a series of test cases through the code, and those will run every time the application is essentially saved, and it won't get deployed until it passes all of the different tests. In terms of finding talent, I often get asked, well, that's great that you called out all these different roles, but where do you find these people? And you can find them on freelancing websites like Upwork, Freelancer, Fiverr. You can also Google different development agencies. There are agencies that reach out to me all the time, like on LinkedIn, for example, that walk through their pricing and different options there. Finding the talent through a site like Upwork or Fiverr is going to introduce some additional fees and expenses that you'll have to pay. But essentially, you get a level of protection, or recourse if the project doesn't go as planned. I had a couple of projects, early on as I was building them out, where I chose the wrong people on a site like Upwork, and essentially they never delivered the project. They just kept stalling. It was a big hassle, and Upwork worked with me and got me every dime of my money back, even from milestones that I had previously released. So just to go through and talk through the extent of customer service that you get on some of those platforms versus if you go direct to the agency, you might get better pricing, but if they don't deliver as promised, then you may not have as many options to try and get your money back if you're not satisfied with the work. Also, one thing that I'll mention is when you go direct with agencies, a lot of them ask for upfront payments on projects. If you can avoid it, try to negotiate or opt for even if it's more frequent milestone-based payments versus upfront payment. Just because once you pay the money, if it turns out that they didn't do a good job, then you're out everything that you've already paid them. Finally, we want to talk through the importance of interviewing the team or agency that's going to be responsible for building your software. Make sure you ask the important questions like what's your experience with similar projects. Now, no two projects are ever going to be exactly the same. So you're not going to find somebody that says, oh yeah, I built that exact same thing. They may tell you that they built the exact same thing or something very similar, but it's going to be very rare that two projects are going to be exactly the same. So, just try to ask for, similar types of work that they did, what made it similar to what you had, maybe what challenges they ran into when they were running through it, things for you to keep in mind in terms of, will I be on time or on budget for this project, or should I account for, some slippage in terms of cost? Make sure you ask them about their project management experience and what they do. Do they assign a project manager? Are they going to give you daily or weekly updates on what work that they're doing? What pricing and terms they have? Are they doing hourly pricing for you, where you pay for every hour that the developer works? Are they quoting you a fixed price, and that's what the cost is going to be, regardless of if it takes them a week or a month to deliver it to you? If the price is fixed, are they milestone payments where certain amounts are due, once you guys agree on requirements, once the design is given to you, once the code is finished, once you've tested it, once it's deployed to your server, things like that. Just make sure that you're aware of what milestones are there and what does that payment schedule look like. Again, you want to try to avoid as many upfront payments as you possibly can, and even just none at all if you can help it. But there are some people and some agencies that require like 10% upfront, or something like that. So just make sure you know what the schedule is. You'll also want to ask about start date, completion date. Do you have any issues or challenges with meeting this date that I'm thinking about as my first release? If they say, yeah, it's going to be a tight fit, okay, realistically, how much time do you think it's going to take to build this? And lastly here, just make sure that whoever you're talking to, whether it's a person or an agency or firm, that they demonstrate understanding of what you're asking for. So you want to pay close attention to questions that they come back to you with. So if you outline a proposal, here are my requirements for my project. Here's what I want, and you say, hey, does this make sense? And they just say, yep, we're good. We can go and build this. So that's when I start to get nervous because I've been doing this for 15 plus years, and even when I write requirement documents and outlines of the proposal, I know that not everything is going to ever be 100% spelled out and clear to somebody else who's going to be building it. So if somebody comes back to me and says, nope, no questions, I'm ready to begin and I can have this to you next week, I'm automatically going to turn them away and look at the next candidate and look for people who come back to me with, oh, hey, I saw you called out that you wanted this. Were you thinking X or Y for what you want it to look like? Those are the kinds of people that I'm paying very close attention to when hiring. And I also want to mention that we're going to include some resources here on interview questions and hiring tips that you can have. So please download the latest version. Check back every once in a while. We're constantly adding more content here to help you just improve the quality of the people that you're hiring and the questions that you're asking. Lastly, here, ChatGPT can help you write project descriptions and interview questions as well. So we'll, probably either introduce as a video in this series at some point, or we may make a whole course around how to have ChatGPT do all the work for you when it comes to your software project. So just stay tuned for where we end up with that.